wanted, and it's a big, and this is the kind of king that people wanted. He was big, beautiful, strong, and he leads wars. He makes Israelites' kingdom stronger. But with time, for Saul, the idea of being a king, it becomes the main idea in his life. It's his desire, and he doesn't understand how he can live without being a king. And God tests him, sends him circumstances where he can show, test his faith. So God tests Saul. He sends him different circumstances when his heart is tested, and it seems that his heart does not trust the Lord. In this situation, God sends Samuel, prophet, and he says that God will punish you. He will take away kingdom from you, and you will not be king. You are not faithful king. And secretly he sends and makes somebody a king. And this way 2 kings are created, Saul and David, future king. And we see that people see that, and servants know that, and in such way people know that David will be a king, that he was promised by the Lord, and this is not a secret for everyone. And in this atmosphere, the events are taking place. And the first meeting of David and Saul happened in such way. There was a war, there was Goliath, everybody knows the story. He ashamed Israelites, ashamed the Lord. For 40 days this took place, and it was a complicated situation. David was taken to this place, and he sees that, and he asks God's army, and he says that God will help them, but nobody still comes out to fight. And David says that he will fight, and nobody believes in success of David. David has cut Goliath's head with Goliath's sword. Everybody is scared, and and Israelites are feeling happy, and it was a big defeat of Philistines. And in this situation, Saul understands that he should keep David close, and he's good for the kingdom, and he makes him the main military man. And here the first tension happens between them, and to be more correct, not between them but in Saul's heart. So when they go back from defeating Philistines, people come out and they say that Saul has defeated thousands of people, and David has defeated tens of thousands, and so they give more glory to David. Saul doesn't like it, and at this moment he starts judging David, and he starts being suspicious of David. And during the second day, David is plays the harp, and Saul throws spear 2 times into David. David is saved, and after that Saul thinks how to fix the situation. He sees that David is successful. He sees that people love David. He sees that God is held by David, and in this way he wants to remove his competitor. So not So he's not the main military leader anymore. He makes him, he puts him above, just makes him a smaller leader, above 1,000 people, above 1,000 people. But still, God gives a lot of victories to David, and it's clear to everybody that God is with him. And Saul is worried about the kingdom. He says that he's afraid that he will lose his kingdom, and he starts fighting this enemy. And so he starts fighting this man, and he sees an enemy in him, and he starts making bad plans against David, and he creates lies, and he weds his daughter to David, and he asks David to kill 100 Philistines, and he kills 200 Philistines, and then he comes, and Saul becomes even more scared of him. He understands more that God is with David, God helps David, and he starts thinking what he should do, how to conquer this desire, how to keep it. So he calls on a meeting and explains to everyone that David needs to be killed. And a son of Saul, Jonathan, he wants to protect David, and he defends David, and he tells Saul that this is he is a faithful servant to you, he serves you, you shouldn't kill him, there is no reason to kill him. But for Saul, all those arguments are enough, and he makes a promise and swears that he won't kill David. And in such a way, David lives and serves Saul more till God gives David another success. And when David receives that success, Saul has his own suspicions again, and this way Saul again throws spear again, and his wife, the daughter of Saul, she loved David and she saved him, and Saul runs after David, and Saul works with David, and he starts giving prophecy, and Saul lets go of David. And now we will connect images soon. We will be using them. So the conflict in the soul of Saul is growing more and more, and David understands his situation is worse and worse. God has promised him, but it turns only worse and worse. And in this situation, David is scared of going to Saul. He doesn't know what to do, and he and Jonathan have a plan how to realize if Saul really wants to kill David or not. So there was a holiday. So there was a gift set of David place. It was empty, and he thought, if Saul asks where is David, if all is good, then everything is good, he wouldn't want to kill David. So there was a holiday, and Saul asked, where is David? And he's asking, where is David? This is his place. Jonathan explains to him that David went to give sacrifice. This is a holiday, they wanted to do it. And Saul becomes very angry. He starts shouting at Jonathan. And he says that he is a traitor, he is friends with his father's enemy, and Jonathan tries to argue and to defend David again, but Saul becomes so angry he throws a spear on Jonathan, and he actually wants to kill him. So Saul starts making inadequate decisions. Jonathan goes to David and he tells about the situation, and Jonathan goes to David and they depart and they cry. And we know that David was a warrior, he was a brave warrior, and he cries. Jonathan cries. He doesn't know how to hold it, and God has promised one thing, but the situation is different. Where to run, where to hide. You are an enemy of the most important person in the kingdom. And this is a complicated situation. He runs away and he comes to another town. There was a priest, and you cannot see the images very well, and he comes to this priest and he asks this priest to give him food. And why is this story important to us? The priest gave him bread, but what was the problem? The problem was only for priests. It was sacred, and this was sacred bread for God. Simple people could not just eat it. They were not allowed to do it, and God forbade it. And when we read the story, we see that the priest didn't just give this bread to him. So he came and asked the Lord, and the Lord said and allowed to give those breads to David. David takes those breads, and during this time somebody hides there, and here hides Saul's main shepherd, and he has an idea. This is good information. If you tell this to Saul, you may win something. Why this episode is important? As I understand, when God does exceptions for David, it's like a sign for everybody, for priests, for Saul, and for other people, that David is a special person. God prepares exceptions for him. Those people, those breads could be only eaten by priests, and he says that I allow David to do this. David takes Goliath's sword and he runs away to another kingdom, to this king. And this king, he is a Philistine, and for Philistines there is still a story. They remember when Goliath was killed, and this was because this was a big defeat for them. This was misery for them. And they say that we saw David here, and he's the king of another country, and he has conquered many people, and he has conquered Goliath. And for Ancus to catch David, to kill him, is a big victory, and would be a great encouragement. David understands that he is in a situation and he doesn't know where to hide, and the only thing that can save him, he acts like he is crazy, and he is so good at it, and he draws something on the walls. And he catches attention of people, and Алмаз believes this, and he doesn't want to be friends with David, and David saves himself in such a way, and he goes back to Israelites. He hides in the cave, and his brothers, mother, father, they come to his to the cave, and he understands that his relatives are also in danger, and they hide in the cave. And at this moment, somebody tells Saul, here a person came, and he says that David hides here in the forest. You can gather an army and go and get him. And what is the next step of Saul? Saul tells his servants, David will not give you anything if you help him, but I will and I will give you gifts if you help me. And here we have this shepherd Doeg that have seen, and he tells that he saw David, and he saw Ahimelech, and he saw that he ate those sacred breads, and that Saul gives an order to call Ahimelech and all the priests. They come to Saul, they blame Saul, and he says that they have dark hearts, and they priests give excuses, and they say, first of all, David is your slave. Second of all, he is your son-in-law, and we are your servants, and it's not our fault. However, how heart of Saul works, how does the heart that is captured by desire, how does it work? Saul looks and he says, I do not believe you. You will die, and all of your lineage, descendants, all of your descendants will die. And it's so interesting that this was God's sign, those breads. There were a lot of testimonies before that. God talked with Saul before. Samuel has said that the kingdom will be removed from you, God will punish you. Then there were a lot of testimonials that Saul knew that David was actually already pinpointed as the future king. And Saul has said to himself lots of times that God helps David. And they had a lot of arguments to believe priests. And Saul does not agree with it. All of those arguments do not work. And all the events that are shown, the heart just figures out that it knows what's best, and if all those things, if they helped Saul to keep the kingdom, he would believe them. But since all of those facts did not help him keep kingdom, then he doesn't want to accept those facts, and he says, kill those people. But his bodyguards do not want to do that. They understand that all those people, they serve God, and he says, no, we will not. The bodyguard says they will not do that. And somebody even threw down his spear and shield and his knife. But Doeg says, I'm ready to do this. So he waits for God's prophets. They were working. Here the warriors gathered them, and all the priests are killed. Only one is saved. Aviafar, he was the son of this main priest, Avimelech, and he was the only one able to get away. And the situation doesn't end here. Doeg goes further. Bread and sword David receives, and in this town, the whole town, they killed the whole town. In this town live small children, teenagers, old people. Everybody is killed, and this was like a show execution. And one of the reasons that everyone would understand who's friends with David, who follows David, who helps him out, the punishment will be very severe. And amazingly, that all of this fits inside the head of Saul. And he has and he has arguments why it's logical to do this way, and all of those desires, they come from the heart, and their beliefs come from the heart that is captured by this desire. And then a very interesting event takes place. David is told that Philistines have killed a town, so David prays to God, and he says, should he go and save this town or not? Those are Philistines. We are afraid of Saul, and this is not Saul. Saul is afraid of Philistines, but we do not want to fight Saul. We want to fight Philistines, but God says, go and fight. David takes his warriors. I do not have time to explain those pictures. David takes his warriors, and he hears the Philistines, and they go there. Here they held captives, taking the goods. They return everything that was captured. They defeat this army of Philistines. This is a victory. There are reasons to be happy. So David says God has given him success, and God will continue continue working the success. But David remains in this city, and the city is surrounded by walls in case of attack. And if a person was there, it seems like he was in the prison. And this is how David talks about the situation. That Samuel has forewarned him about, and he said that he would give kingdom to another person. A lot of things that priests have came, that they've told about the bread, about this wonders that God did. And he said that, so this will be like the end for you. God will kill you. But Saul, when he heard this information, he talks about them this way. God is making a gift for me. It's as if God has locked me in the cage. And this is an interesting fact, how a heart that is taken captive by the desire, you are in a bad condition, God is against you, and a person says, God is with me, God has given me David. so the heart says, so the heart can interpret all the facts according to its main desire, even if, so the heart can interpret all the facts as he sees fit. And David hears about this, he gets his warriors, and Saul stops following him, and he says there was such a chance to kill David, but the chance is missing, so the opportunity was lost. And then there was another event, how God has saved David, and we come to the last chapter that I wanted to talk to you about. So, the last chapter, God is full of mercy. Saul needs to be killed, but he gives mercy, and he gives him unique opportunity to understand what is happening with him. Saul is chasing after David, and he was told that he is here, he is hiding in the mountains. Saul gathers a group of people, 3,000 people, best warriors, and they can fight a warrior. Those are the best exclusive soldiers, and David had only 600 people, and they were just randomly there. And then Saul wants to go to the toilet. He doesn't want to go with people, but he will not go with bodyguards to toilet. And right now people go, they have bodyguards. The bodyguards just go to the toilet, and then people go there for the first. For some reason, bodyguards of Saul didn't do this. Saul goes to the cave, and David is sitting there with his soldiers. And the situation becomes more tense. The situation of, and the people of David say, here, this is Saul. God puts you in his hands. He gives you as a gift. You need to kill Saul. You want to solve your problems. You have your own desire. Do you want to solve the problems? Do you want to guard your close ones? You are very close to Saul. Hit him with the sword and he will die. But the situation is 1 in a million. The most important thing, David has a desire to. Situation where he is at, it's very complicated, and to get rid of it, not to desire it, is impossible. He would happily get rid of the situation. But this desire does not, but this desire did not overcome David. So he talks to his guards and his soldiers, and he explains his situations to soldiers. He cuts some clothes of Saul, and he thinks that God will probably won't like it, and he says to his people, God will not allow me to kill. Please let God stop me from killing Saul. Why? Because God's hands have put crown on Saul's head, and it's not for me to take it off. And during the next situation, David would say, God doesn't need my help. If we wanted to kill Saul, he has Philistines with that, he has sickness, or from the old age, I will not kill him. This is God's king that he has put. I know that I will be a king, and I will do what God wants me to. Even though people say, go on, God is making you a gift, you should call Saul. This is from God. Don't be stupid. And David says no. And during the next episode, Saul comes out, and David goes out, calls his name, and he has a piece of his clothes, and Saul looks at David, and he doesn't understand, and David starts saying, he says, Saul. David tells Saul, why do you listen to evil people? Why? They tell you that I want to kill you. This is bad. Look at me. I was told by people, kill Saul today. Saul is in your hands, given to you by God. But I have turned away. I have rejected this. More than this, I have guarded you. I didn't just kill you. I have stopped my people from killing you. And this is the proof that I'm not your enemy. And here's David. He holds this piece of clothing and he says to Saul, you were in a cage. God has made this. I could have killed you, but I have let you out. I give you life. And you keep on giving me death. And David says, if you do something to me, God will punish you. And will punish you very strongly. You will not be able to run away. And God, when He will be able to judge between you and me, I will be... And God will guard you. Wait, God will punish you, sorry. And when David stopped saying those words, Saul said, is this your voice? And Saul started crying. And when he says, is this your voice? This is like a rhetorical question. So David has explained this. And he would say, like, is it really you, David? Did this really happen? Is this possible that you have let me go? You are better than me. I have bad, evil heart. I have made you so much evil, and you are giving me life. God has given you to me that you would kill me, and for this, God will bless you a lot and will give you a lot of presents. And one of those presents is that you will be a king, and your kingdom will be strong. And Saul says, ask a question: Who, if they have found an enemy, would let them go? I don't know such people. I am seeing a person for the first time who saw an enemy and a way to solve all problems and lets the enemy go. And with this, their story do not end. And then another situation happens. Saul believed. He was sorry. He said, okay. He made a promise that he will not kill. So when I will die when I will die, do not kill my relatives and my sons. And David says, okay. I am giving you life, and I promise that I will not kill your children after you die. And in the next chapter, Saul lives, and his desire becomes rules over him again, and all those things that David has told him, the mercy that God has shown to him, and grace He has shown to whom David is. And he shouldn't have needed any more arguments, but but Saul gathers words again and goes to kill David. So Saul fell asleep during the night. All his army fell asleep, and David came to Saul, and Svesa tells to David, he says, look, God is giving Saul into your hands. He will not show mercy to us. Please kill him. And David says, stop, no. If God wanted to kill him, he would destroy him without me. God controls situation. I want to do this, but I will not do this. God needs to do that. And they let Saul go. Saul cries. He admits that David was right again. So, what practical implication can you do in this story? And this idea of having a desire, Saul had an enemy that he created. David was a good servant to him until the end of his life. But when Saul had a desire, this desire made from David a slave. And Saul has started fighting him till the very end, till his death. So when we have this desire in a conflict, we are not able to think logically. If there is not enough time, let's take church. Let's imagine that you have conflict with somebody in the church. And if this conflict and there is tension and it has some bad qualities like there is jealousy, or you cannot forgive something, or if there is when you think that this person serves with bad motives. Saul kept on thinking bad thoughts about David. If there was no peace about God controlling the situation, that you can find peace in God. If this is in you, in this there's this tension in life, in church, you are already you are already in lie, you're already deceived. You look at everything through the prism of your own desire, and what you have, like those special tones like jealousy, suspicions. This is because I do not interpret everything correctly. All of those things, they are not fruits of spirit, they are fruits of body. And if I am mad and I trust my being bad at somebody, this is foolish. Me being mad at something, it interprets everything that happens. And before I have peace in heart and understand that let God solve everything, as David reached such a decision that I'm not going to solve this problem, God will solve. So like it could be like you're wearing glasses of being mad at somebody, you see everything through this being mad. Think about Solomon. He wrote so many books, and we read through those books, and those books teach us how to love God, how to have God's peace, what is the right thing we can do and not the right thing to do, what God will bless us for and what He won't. And but he also had a lot of things that he's done, like he built a temple for idols, and he's saying that this is stupid, you will have consequences. And this is Solomon. God has shown to him, and on the other side he doesn't have anything, and he says, and then a woman arrives, that a pagan woman, and she will not bow down before the Lord, and she says, I will be your wife if you love me, build me a pagan temple. So there are things that weigh down him on one hand and things weigh down on another hand, but because he loves this woman, all all those arguments that were against this idea, and his love for this woman, they overweigh everything else. So he has arguments. He doesn't just build temple for the temple. So he has arguments. He's not a stupid person, and that's why all the land of Israel was filled with those temples. But the idea is that Solomon started giving arguments, interpreting everything through the prism of this love. So the ruling desire in our heart, like if our heart is connected, if our heart's desire is connected to something, what we really want, if we have these fruits like jealousy, being mad, bad thoughts, this will be the things that we will use that will overrule how we act. Do I have 2 minutes? Okay. So, I'm just going to read. I'll have a few examples. So, what to do if this is in our heart? If I'm in such heart, if it's hard for me to forgive someone, or if I believe that somebody is wrong in church. In any case, the situation that is in our heart and we are being mad or something, before I solve this problem, I cannot speak to this person with God's wisdom. And sometimes a person says, according to the scripture, God says, if you have something against your brother, go to your brother and tell him to help him repent. So I'm a peacemaker so he goes to this person, but there is another person, but this person says, no, the problem is with you. And if a person goes to seek peace, he will get peace from the Lord. But if he searches for himself, if he is mad, if he is jealous, because he didn't receive what he wanted from the opponent, then it will grow many times. And we are Christians, and all of our arguments are good, and we are saying, like David, God is helping us, but it's important for us to look at the fruits that we really have in our heart. We're suspicious. We mad. This is what is eating at our heart, because. And I know people that were mad at Kolya and they left the church. And it's hard for me to understand. He cannot live with it. He cannot make peace with it. And he will continue fighting till he solves it, or he will just run away. That's why we need to seek advice from mature Christians if we're in such a situation. I have a lot of examples. For example, there are mature Christians who can help you, that will help you understand and teach you. And those people, in an important moment, those people do not need to be conquered by the same desire as you. So if you are talking to the mature Christian who is successful in other ministries, but who has also unforgiveness to this person, to the same suspicious, because this person. So run away from this kind of person. People that have peace and that can save you to this. And if it would be better if there's a person who has already lived through this, and maybe he has Solomon, he was already repented in this and changed, and he can see what God has done with his heart, and we shouldn't be afraid of them. May the Lord bless us to have peace with God and to have peace among us in our church, in our family.